Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be doing a protective and obsessive hero romance recommendations. So these are all just books that I think the heroes are overly protective, but I think it's one of the my favorite things in romance novels. I think it's so sexy. I just love it. And I have a great stack of books in a variety of genres. So the first one is When He Was Wicked by Julia Quinn. This is a part of the Bridgerton series, and I just love this one so much. It is about Michael and Francesca has always, she's been married to Michael's cousin. I can't remember his name. But anyways, it doesn't matter. And her husband dies, and so Michael is now the new Earl, and he has always been in love with Francesca from afar, and he decides to go to India to like get away, and then he comes back and he finds out that Francesca is trying to find a new husband because she really wants to have a baby, and it's just so good. And so he has a lot of feelings for her, but doesn't want to cross that line with her, and she has no idea about his feelings for her, and so tensions rise, and they kind of toe the line of, like, you know, familiar stuff. But I just absolutely loved this book. He's very protective over her, especially when she's trying to find a new husband, and then they end. He's very protective of her when she's trying to find a new husband. And I just love that about this book. And like, he fights off somebody who's trying to, like, you know, mess with her in like a garden, and it just was so good. And they end up getting like marriage of convenience to each other, and coming to an agreement. And I just love this book. It is so good. You should definitely read the series in order, but I just loved this book so much. The next book is another book in a series. I would probably read the first one in this series, but the series is really good. I really enjoy it. This is the third book, and this is about Maddie and Flame. And Maddie was one of the girls that escaped this cult, and she has a lot of demons from that. Of course she would, any normal person would, and she was one of the girls that was probably abused the most. This is a dark motorcycle romance series, and so when she escaped and got into the motorcycle club, Flame was the one who actually killed her like abuser, and so she has always been very grateful to Flame, and Flame's always kind of been obsessed with Maddie. He just like wants to protect her all the time. He went through a lot of dark stuff, and she is just trying to get him to open up, and something happens where he kind of like has this like breakdown, freak out, and she's just there for him, and I loved that. And it's very character driven because they're both working through their like past, and Flame goes through a lot of the similar stuff that Maddie went through, and I just love this book. It was so good. There was some action in this one. This is probably the least amount of action out of all of these books, but it's very character driven, and it's very satisfying to see the ending, and I just love this book so much. It's so good. This whole series is so good. The first one is called It Ain't Me, Babe, and that one's very protective also. Just go check out this whole series out. It's called the Hades Hangman series by Tilly Cole. It's just amazing. I love it so much. Okay, so our next book that I'm going to be sharing with you is Fair Catch by Kenny Steiner. This is a college football enemies to lovers romance, and so our heroine Riley is the only female football player on her college football team, and Zeke is also on the team. I don't know what position he plays, but she's like the kicker, and she kind of hates Zeke because of something that happened in high school. Zeke is best friends with her brother, and Zeke and her brother got in a really bad car accident, and it paralyzed her brother from the waist down, and so now she blames Zeke for a lot of it. But he is so protective over her on the team. He is just trying to look out for her all the time because the guys don't really accept her yet. Especially one of the guys, he is like does all these videos, like Instagram lives and all this stuff, and likes to like showcase her to get more views on his like social media. And so then she starts helping him with his schoolwork, and then they kind of toe the line of like going across that line of like hate to love, and I really like that. This is such a fun book. It has a lot of football. It's perfect for fall. Definitely go check this one out. Okay, so this next book is called Twisted Lies by Ana Huang. This is a fake dating romance. So our heroine, Stella, she is really into fashion, and she's actually like an influencer, and her like, I think her publishing or her agent or something was like, you need to be in a relationship to be able to get more views on her channel. So she's trying to find somebody to fake date with, and her like the owner of her apartment building is like, well, why don't I do it? And that's Christian. And Christian is a billionaire. He is very wealthy, very mysterious. And Christian has harbored a crush for Stella for so long, for years. And so when she asks him to fake date with her, he's like excited, but he has like boundaries and all that stuff. And it's very slow burn, but amazing. And he's very protective over Stella. Like, he is like, nobody touches her, like touch her and you die. He is always trying to protect her, and I just love that about this book. And then Stella ends up having a stalker that resurfaces after years of like it stalking her, the person. And so she ends up having to stay with Christian, and it's just such a great book. I really enjoyed it. I love them together as a couple. Stella's very sweet, and a very sweet heroine, which I really appreciated, and Christian is just always trying to protect her, and I really love that. So definitely go check this one out. And this isn't a series, but I would say you don't have to read it in order. Okay, so this next book is called Falling Embers by Catherine Cowles. This is the second book in the Tattered and Torn series. This follows Calder and Hadley. And so Calder is a firefighter and Hadley is an EMT, so they work together also. But it's friends to lovers, kind of second chance. So Hadley's always had feelings for Calder, and kind of Calder feels the same way about Hadley. But a couple years ago, Calder's ex-wife got in a really bad accident with his two twin daughters, and it almost killed his daughters. And so now he just doesn't want to let anybody new in his life for fear of losing them. And so that's why he kind of pushed Hadley away. And Hadley has this like YouTube channel type thing where she does all of these different tricks like skateboarding, snowboarding, dirt bikes, all of that. And she started getting these really nasty comments on her channel and them being like really creepy. And so Calder's like, well, this really freaks me out. Why don't you come stay with me? And so she ends up staying in his house with his girls, and it's just really good, and their feelings start reigniting for each other, and I just love this book. I don't think you have to read this series in order. I read it in order because I knew I was going to love this series. This is the second book. It was just so good, and there's some like really suspenseful moments, especially when they're both like working in the force. Like, she's an EMT and she has to go save someone, and he's like really freaked out that she's gonna like die or something, and then he gets really protective, and it's just so good. I really love Calder. He's one of my favorite heroes now, and I just love their relationship. It's so good. The next book I want to share with you is called Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. This is a bodyguard mafia romance, and so our heroine is a lawyer, and she got attacked in her pool one night, and she doesn't know what happened, and so she is the daughter of like a famous mafioso. I think they're the Polish mafia. And so her like brother is like, well, I need to get somebody to start protecting you. And so he calls in this favor with this guy who was like ex-military and all this stuff. And he's also a cowboy. And he's like, well, this is going to be your new bodyguard because I know he can keep you safe. And so she starts to fall for her bodyguard. It's reverse Grumpy Sunshine. She's grumpy and he's very sunshine. There's tons of action in this book. And I just love their relationship so much. And there's a point where she has to go stay at his ranch in like Tennessee because things are getting bad with her attacker. And it was just so good. He's very protective over her, always looking out for her best interests. And I just thought this book was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. This next one is called Dangerous Temptation by Gianna Darling. This is actually a duet. This is the first book in the duet. And this follows Bianca, I think. And so her mother just passed away. And her mother's boyfriend is now becoming her new guardian for her and her brother. And he actually doesn't care like about her mother or any of that. It was basically like a business scheme because he is a part of this really famous like family, and he's trying to get back at like Bianca's family. So it's a spoiler if I tell you, so I'm not going to tell you, but just know it's very interesting. And so she absolutely hates him, and it's really funny because she is just like has to go with him to New York with her and her brother, and he is just trying to annoy her all the time. She's trying to annoy him back. Very banter. It's forbidden, taboo, age gap, guardian and ward romance. It was just so fantastic. I loved their tug and pull, and how even though he wanted to like hurt her, he was the only one who could do that. Like, he was so protective over her, where he was like, nobody else can do this to her but me. And I really liked that. So this was such a fantastic read. Definitely go check it out. So this next one is another in the Tattered and Torn series by Catherine Cowles, and that's Shattered Sea. So this is about Laken and Bowden, and Laken was in a really bad accident in high school where she is now has a lot of chronic pain that still affects her day-to-day in her everyday life. And so she is working in this art gallery, and life is going good, and she actually lost her boyfriend in the crash. And so she's really close with her boyfriend's family, but her boyfriend's brother and sister hold a lot of hostility towards her because of like kind of blaming her for the accident, even though it wasn't her fault. Like, she wasn't driving. It was kind of a road rager incident. And so she harbors a lot of guilt from that, and she's trying to move on with her life, but she feels like she can't because that would be, you know, hurting her boyfriend's family kind of thing. And so Bowden is new in town, and he is actually a movie star, and his girlfriend died 6 months ago. So he's trying to get away from the publicity and the press into this like small quaint town, and just, you know, get some rest and recuperation. And he meets Laken and is instantly so infatuated with her and kind of like wants to hang out with her. It's like friends, kind of the lovers. They become friends, hanging out together. And then there were other people in the crash, like her friends were. And so she finds out that the ones who are remaining like alive are slowly starting to be like dying off, and they think it's like somebody's trying to kill them. And so she ends up having to stay with Bowden in his like little cabin in the woods, and she has the cutest dog, and he has a dog, so the relationship is really cute. But I just love this book so much because I love how protective Bowden was of her, even though he kind of had just met her, but he was like felt a really instant connection with her, which I really loved. And I love how they both really connected over their grief. It was so good. And there's definitely some suspense in this one. So I highly recommend this series. It is just so good. The next book is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This is one of my favorites of the year. I absolutely love this book. And so our heroine is actually at her sister's engagement party, and she absolutely hates her sister's fiance. They all grew up together, and she felt like her sister's fiance really bullied her. His name is Dean. And so when everybody goes home for the night, she's one of like the last people to leave the bar. And then there's this creepy guy hanging around the bar, and she calls Dean to get a ride, and he's like, oh, I don't want to do this for you, but he does it anyways. And he picks her up, and this guy kind of leers at them and is really creepy. So they're driving home, maybe getting in like a weird little you know, fight or something, because they don't like each other, and they get in an accident, and then they see this guy, and this guy is like smiling at them and ends up kidnapping them. So this is a very, very dark romance, but it's just so incredible. And so they end up being kidnapped and put in his basement for weeks. They're forced to do things to each other that he commands of them. There is lots of trigger warnings for this book. I would definitely go check those out before you read it. And it just is very heartbreaking. And when they finally get out of that situation, they have a real connection towards each other, and like everything's changed from what happened. Like they started developing feelings for each other during that time, and now it's this messy, angsty romance where they want to be together, but they don't want to hurt her sister, and she feels a lot of guilt because of that, and it's just so good. He's very protective over her, and wanting to protect her and their relationship together, even when like the sister's like, why are you guys so close, like, you know, kind of thing. And it's just so good. It is an amazing read. If you like dark romance, I highly recommend this one. And then the last book is the Mind F series by St. Abbey. I have the bind up of the series. This is so good. You can find it on Kindle Unlimited, I think. So this is a FBI and serial killer romance. So our heroine is a serial killer, and our hero is an FBI agent, and he is actually working on her case. And so she has been killing people because of her past, and it's specific people. It's not just like randomly. And these people were a part of something that really hurt her and her family and kind of destroyed her life. And so she's been killing them off. And the hero has literally no idea. And he's very protective over her, because then she is helping the FBI with like different things. She's very knowledgeable about like FBI stuff. I don't know what the word is. And she like kind of helps them with like another case. It's really interesting. But this isn't all one book. It's just a bind up of 5 like kind of short stories. They're each like 100 pages. But it's so good. I absolutely love this book. Oh, I gotta put that down because it's heavy. But it is such a great series. You see so much. It's really interesting. I just love that book series so much. But that is it for this recommendation video. I hope you enjoyed it. I just love these romances so much. I love protective heroes. I just think they are so hot, and I really like that trope. But thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you guys soon.